Hi everyone, I'm Anya. I oversee business development at Kmine. Before we dive in, I'd like to remind you to check out and follow our LinkedIn page. It's the easiest way to stay updated on our latest announcements and upcoming webinars. And I also want to extend a big thank you to each of you for being here. Your support means a lot to us. So today webinars covers coal's role in the future energy mix, global trends, projections, even through like 2050, and challenges in transitioning to green energy. We'll also highlight companies adapting to new environmental standards. And also today with us, Eugene, who is an author of today's webinar. Eugene, hi.
Hi. Friday is a great time for some fresh information, so I hope you will enjoy it.
Yeah, I hope we'll enjoy it too. Well, Eugene will answer your questions in the end of the stream. So let me just start by sharing a bit about Kmine. Our journey began in Ukraine in 1994, and by 2024, we expanded our reach across Europe, Asia, United States, and Canada. Our team is a diverse group of developers, surveyors, geologists, mining engineers with experts that are qualified in NI 43-101 and JORC reporting standards. We serve broad range of clients from small exploration teams to major corporations, always focusing on delivering high quality and cost-effective solutions. Our main product is a comprehensive software solution that is tailored to the mining industry. It supports every phase of a mining project from exploration to full production through 12 versatile models designed both for open pit and underground operations. What sets us apart is software flexibility. Whether you're a small operation or a large corporation, you can select specific models that fit your workflow, and whether it's just one or the full suite, you have a customized workflow for your specific daily routine. These models cover everything from geological data processing and surveying to creating optimized mining plans for both short-term and long-term projects. By integrating our software with IoT devices or dispatch systems, you gain real-time monitoring and ability to make quick data-driven decisions. Our software is built on hands-on industry experience, specifically designed to address the challenges that we faced in our consultancy work. We provide reports that meet NI 43-101, SK 1300, and JORC standards tailored to various project phases such as pre-feasibility study, feasibility study, mineral resource estimation, preliminary economic assessments, TFS, and other studies. Our expertise spans a broad range of hard rock commodities, including essential critical minerals. So if you'd like more information on our services and how we can support your project, don't hesitate to reach out to us either in the comments below or through our contact form on our website. So in today's webinar, as I said, we explore the coal industry impact on the future energy balance. We'll start by looking at global energy trends, touching on regional demands, forecasts, and key statistics. Then we'll discuss coal use projections through 2050 and how innovative technologies are shaping the industry. We'll also consider the economic challenges the coal sector faces as we move towards green energy and wrap up with examples of some companies that adapt to new environmental standards. So let's dive in. So in 2024, the global energy landscape is evolving rapidly, shaped by factors like economic growth, new energy policies, technological advancements, efforts to tackle climate change. The mix of energy that we produce and consume will continue to be influenced both by traditional and renewable energy sources. So what's happening now? The International Energy Agency reports that global energy consumption is still on the rise, mainly driven by growing markets in regions like Asia and Africa. In 2024, we're experiencing worldwide energy use to hit around 14.48 billion tons of oil equivalent, which is up 1.3% from last year. Industrial growth, urbanization, increasing populations in developing countries are the big reasons for this demand. And on the flip side, in more developed places like Canada, European Union, United States, energy consumption growth is slowing down as they adopt energy efficient tech and work towards lowering carbon emissions. In 2024, fossil fuels are still major players in the global energy mix, despite the growing move towards decarbonization. Coal, oil, natural gas together make up about 81% of the world energy consumption. Oil remains a steady source, accounting for about 30%, with the demand holding strong, especially in transportation. Natural gas, which contributes 24%, is continuing to grow as it's seen as cleaner option compared to coal and oil. Even though coal's share is decreasing, it still makes up roughly 27% of global energy use, especially in countries like India and China. Renewable energy sources are steadily expanding, accounting for 30% of global power generation in 2024. By 2025, this figure is projected to reach 35%. Solar and wind power in particular are experiencing the fastest growth, with annual increases of 20-25%. However, it's important to know that due to challenges related to energy infrastructure, storage, fossil fuel domination, and other factors, renewable energy consumption currently makes up only 14% of global energy consumption. The Asia-Pacific region is the biggest energy consumer, driven by rapid economic growth and industrialization. India and China alone account for over 46% of global energy use. China, as the world's largest coal consumer, still depends heavily on coal for electricity, with coal making up to 55% of country's total energy mix. However, China is also leading the way in renewable energy development. In 2024, China will make big strides in solar, wind power, boosting its capacity by 24.7% comparing to the previous year. India also relies heavily on coal for electricity generation, with coal making up to 56% of its energy. But India also is moving towards ambitious solar energy projects, and it's quickly becoming a leader in solar capacity expansion. Let's look at North America. That includes United States, Canada, and Mexico, and it has more balanced energy mix. In the US, natural gas has become the dominant energy source, making up to 37% of almost 38% of electricity production, while renewable energy is growing fast now, contributing 18.4%, with wind and solar seeing rapid growth due to clean technology investment. Canada, thanks to its abundant hydroelectric resources, has one of the highest shares of renewable energy among the major countries. Its hydropower provides over 60% of its electricity. Europe is making big moves towards renewable energy as part of the European Green Deal, which focuses on decarbonizing the economy. The European Union has already made significant progress, with renewables making up to 41% of electricity production, and this number is set to grow. In some countries like Germany, renewable energy sources account for more than 57%, with 22% of final energy consumption. However, even though coal is still in use, especially in Eastern European countries like Poland, where it provides about 69, almost 70% of the electricity. Africa presents a unique energy landscape. While the continent has vast renewable energy potential, particularly in solar, a large portion of its energy still comes from traditional sources like oil and coal. For example, in South Africa, coal remains the main energy source, covering over 70% of the country needs. That said, the South African government is working towards reducing coal dependence through renewable energy projects. Latin America leans heavily on hydropower, especially in countries like Brazil and Colombia, where over 53% of electricity comes from hydroelectric sources. However, countries like Argentina still rely a lot on natural gas and oil for their energy. In recent years, though, the region has made impressive progress in solar and wind power. So the global energy mix in 2024 looks quite different depending on the region. Emerging economies like China and India are still heavily dependent on coal, while North America and Europe are rapidly boosting their renewable energy share, and Africa and Latin America are still reliant on coal and oil, but efforts to shift towards renewable energy are picking up speed. So the use of coal in energy is still a hot topic for the global fight against climate change, even though coal has major part of the global energy mix for a long time. Its future depends heavily on how international agreements to reduce greenhouse emissions are put into action and how fast we transition to green energy. For 2024, analysts have different opinions on how quickly coal use will decline, especially since it varies by regions and depends on national decarbonization strategies. The International Energy Agency predicts that coal share in global energy will gradually drop, but will still play a significant role for decades. In 2024, coal makes up around 29.5% of global energy mix, and by 2030 this figure could decrease to 23%. By 2050 it might drop to 16%. However, how fast this decline happens really depends on the factors like economic growth, investment in renewables, and national climate policies. Since China plays a huge role in coal consumption, it's the world's largest consumer of coal. It uses over 55% of the global supply in 2024. While China is working to reduce its reliance on coal, it doesn't really plan to phase out entirely anytime soon. By 2030, coal share in China energy mix is expected to drop to around 40-45%, but it will be still essential for generating electricity, especially during winter and peak demands period. India, which is the second largest coal consumer, also views coal as critical for its industrial growth. Although India has big plans to ramp up renewable energy, analysts predict coal will remain a major energy source at least until 2040, supplying about 45 to 50% of country's energy. By 2050, coal share in India energy mix is expected to fall to 30-35%, but it will continue to play a key role in India's energy sector for years to come. In developing countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, South Africa, coal is still the backbone of the energy system. In South Africa, for instance, coal makes up to 70% of electricity generation and expected to remain a key source until at least 2035. By 2050, coal share could drop to around 40-45% thanks to the growth of renewables and the country's push to reduce CO2 emissions. In the recent years, coal industry has been under growing pressure to cut carbon emissions and shift towards more sustainable energy sources. But despite this, coal is still key energy sources, especially in developing countries. And to address these challenges, the industry is adopting innovative technologies to extend the life of coal reserves, boost efficiency in coal usage, and reduce its environmental impact. One of the promising technologies that could help the coal industry to reduce CO2 emissions is carbon capture and storage, or CCS. CCS captures the carbon dioxide produced when coal is burned in power plants or industrial facilities, and it stores it underground. As of 2024, there are 4 operational coal-fired power plants utilizing CCS technology, 2 in China, 1 in the United States, and 1 in Canada. These projects demonstrate the potential of CCS. The development of CCS for coal has been gradual. For example, it was only 1 operational plant in 2021. China's 2 newer plants capture a combine of 0.65 million tons of CO2 per year, which is approximately 8% of total CO2 production for these specific plants. The Petronova plant in the US, which resumed operations in 2023 after shutdown, is used primarily for enhanced oil recovery, but hasn't quite hit its target for carbon capture. Meanwhile, Canada's Boundary Dam plant is expected to capture 90% of its emissions, but only actually manages to capture about 50% on average. Despite the slow progress and significant investment, these plants collectively capture less than 0.02% of the total emissions from the coal industry. So it's like almost like really negligible. The high cost of the technology is a challenge, though interest is starting to grow, especially in places like India, where power producers are looking into, even though there is no formal government backing yet. Another technology that is worth to mention is HALE technology, which means highly efficient, low emission coal fired power plants. They use supercritical and ultra supercritical steam, which can dramatically improve coal combustion efficiency. It reduces CO2 emissions, and these plants operate at high temperatures and pressures, which boosts efficiency to 45 to 50% compared to 35% seen in older plants. Countries like Japan and China are actively adopting HALE technologies to lower their carbon footprints. Digital innovations are also transforming the coal industry by optimizing operations. Technologies like AI and IoT are helping coal mines and power plants automate processes and boost productivity. In China, Shenhua Group has implemented IoT to manage production, increasing efficiency by 8 to 12%. Meanwhile, in Australia, coal mines are using IoT and big data to cut costs and monitor CO2 emissions in real time, which helps companies to stay compliant with environmental regulations. Another exciting development for coal industry is the combined use of coal and hydrogen. By incorporating hydrogen into the process, carbon emissions from coal-fired power plants can be reduced. Some projects are experimenting with partially replacing coal with hydrogen to lower carbon footprint, and countries like Japan and South Korea are actively researching now how to implement this technology at their coal power plants. So, in the recent years, the coal industry has faced significant economic challenges as the global energy landscape shifts towards green energy. Political decisions, mounting pressure to reduce carbon emissions, and shifts in financial investments also transform the coal market, compelling companies to adjust to new circumstances. A major hurdle is decline in investment. Many international banks and financial institutions, including the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, have reduced or entirely withdrawn funding for coal projects. Since 2015, over 130 banks, including major players like HSBC, BNP Paribas, and Deutsche Bank, have divested from coal, severely limiting the capital available for expanding and modernizing coal infrastructure. Additionally, coal companies are encountering higher borrowing costs as investing in fossil fuel becomes riskier. In 2023, the average interest rate on loans for coal ventures increased by 2 to 3% compared to those for green energy projects, making coal investments less attractive to financiers. Meanwhile, global energy investments are still shifting towards clean energy, with about $1.70 invested in clean energy for every dollar spent on fossil fuels in 2023. But despite of this, fossil fuels investments remain significant. In fact, global coal demand hit a record high in 2022 and has stayed close to that level in 2023. It's driven largely by consumption in Asian nations, especially in China and India. Coal supply investment has also risen, with coal-related investments increasing by around 10% in 2023 compared to previous years. This includes both expanded coal production and new coal-fired power plant approvals, especially in China. By the way, China approved 40 gigawatt of new coal capacity in 2022, which is the highest since 2016, indicating sustained political support for coal in the face of energy security concerns. In developed countries, the phase out of coal power is accelerating as part of the broader efforts to cut emissions and transition to cleaner energy. Europe is leading the charge, with the European Union setting a target to eliminate coal from electricity generation entirely by 2050 under its European Green Deal, which prioritizes cleaner alternatives like renewables. The introduction of policies like the carbon tax, which reached 100 euros per ton of CO2 in 2024, is placing significant financial pressure on coal companies, further driving the shift away from coal. In the United States, similar trend is underway. Coal's share of electricity generation, which is around 18% in 2024, is projected to fall to 5 to 6% by 2050, according to the US Department of Energy. Between 2020 and 2024, over 100 coal-fired power plants were shut down as a part of efforts to reduce CO2 emissions. The US also set a deadline of 2039 for coal plants to either adopt carbon capture and storage technology or shut it down if they fail to meet stringent emission standards. Same in Canada. Coal is set to be phased out by 2030 unless plants adopt CCS technology. This aligns with the country's broader decarbonization goals, which mirror efforts across North America and Europe to significantly reduce carbon emissions and transition to cleaner energy sources. So you can see that these regulatory pressures, while economically challenging for the coal industry, reflect a global shift towards environmental sustainability, and basically driving a significant investment in renewable energy and cleaner technologies, and also investment in coal driving towards Asian regions. Despite this, coal still plays a crucial role in the economies of developing countries. As I mentioned, in India, coal generates 70% of country's electricity, provides millions of jobs, creates strong economic dependence of it, and it makes transition to green energy in these countries a long and challenging process. But despite of that, some coal companies are beginning to adapt to changing landscape. Many major players are diversifying by investment in renewable energy and carbon capture technologies. For example, companies like Glencore and Anglo American are launching projects in renewable energy and focusing on extracting minerals needed for green energy technologies, such as batteries and equipment. Other coal companies are increasing exports to countries where demand remains strong. While this shift in logistics increases transportation costs, it also opens up new markets for coal products. Ultimately, coal companies are trying to find a balance between meeting regulatory demands and maintaining economic stability, all while facing growing competition from renewable energy sources. Glencore, which is one of the largest coal producers globally, has been actively working to reduce its carbon footprint since 2019, in line with its goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. The company is gradually cutting back on coal production and ramping up investment in renewable energy and infrastructure. Glencore aims to reduce carbon emissions by 40% by 2035 and has begun investing in CCS projects at its coal mines and power plants. Anglo American made a bold move by exiting the coal business completely. In 2021, the company sold its coal assets to a newly formed entity, Thangela Resources, which allowed Anglo American to focus entirely on green technologies. Now, the company is heavily investing in mining copper, nickel ores, which are essentially for producing electrical vehicle batteries, and renewable technologies. BHP, which is one of the largest coal miners globally, integrating sustainability in its business with a goal achieving a zero carbon footprint by 2050. The company is heavily investing in carbon capture and energy efficiency technologies. At its Mount Arthur coal mine in Australia, BHP has implemented water management and energy-saving technologies that have reduced energy consumption over the past 3 years. The other company, Peabody Energy, which is a major American coal company, is adapting to market changes by investing in emission reduction and environmental restoration projects. So, for example, after mine closures, Peabody works on reclamation efforts, restoring ecosystems, repurposing land for agricultural and recreational use. In 2023, Peabody reduced a bit its CO2 emissions compared to 2020, thanks to advanced coal emissions cleaning technology at its power plants. China Shenhua Energy is the world's largest coal producer, is pushing the boundaries of technology to reduce its carbon footprint. In 2024, the company already completed pilot projects to implement CCS technologies at several coal-fired power plants. It's significantly cutting CO2 emissions. And additionally, Shenhua has introduced automation and IoT technologies on its coal mines, which has improved energy efficiency and reduced production costs. So the way coal companies are adapting to new environmental standards shows that even with a growing pressure to reduce carbon emissions, sustainable development is still possible. While shift away from the coal is getting momentum, the need for a gradual transition to fully green energy keeps the coal sector relevant. Coal remains a key global energy source for a few reasons. Well, first, in many developing countries, coal plays a critical role in ensuring energy security and stability because it provides affordable and reliable supply. Second, the infrastructure for mining and using coal is already widespread, and replacing it with greener technologies requires significant investment and time, while the infrastructure for coal is already there. And lastly, coal serves as a transitional energy source, buying time for the development and deployment of new technologies like renewables and carbon capture. And this gradual shift helps countries to minimize the economic and social impact on the energy transition that ensures a smoother move forward towards greener energy solutions. So let's bring Eugene back to answer some questions. Eugene, are you here?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So first question is, how do the initial investment and operating expenses compare when implementing CCS and HELI technologies at coal power plants?
Good question. Well, when it comes to the cost comparison, CSS technology is definitely the more expensive option to start with. It requires a large investment to set up the infrastructure for capturing, transporting, and storing the CO2. On top of that, running the system is pricey too, since it uses quite a bit of energy. HELE, on the other hand, focuses on making coal plants more efficient. So the upgrades are usually cheaper to install. Plus, HELE system reduce fuel consumption, helping lower operational costs in the long run.
Mhm.
However, with the CSS, there are added regular costs for carbon storage, which HELE doesn't involve.
Got it. And if we talk about like for people that already have coal power plants, right? Like which technology is more scalable and why, I guess?
Good question as well. When we're talking about scalability, HELE has the upper hand, especially for like retrofitting. That's because it doesn't require drastic changes to the plant's infrastructure. It's all about improving combustion efficiency, which with a tech like super critical boilers, so it can be implemented without major disruption. CSS, however, is much harder to scale up, particularly for older plants. It demands significant new infrastructure and is better suited for new facilities. So for plants already in operation, HELE is more practical choice, I guess.
Do you think the CCS technology has like for the future, considering that it doesn't capture so much CO2, right? Like it's supposed to operate up, it's supposed to capture up to 90%, but actually, like at least for the projects that are implemented now, it captures like 50%,
Yeah, the special
right? It's
effect.
very expensive.
Yeah,
So do you think it's the idea has a future, or it's kind of like just trials and errors, I guess, in the carbon capture technology?
I think this technology should improve. So we should make some changes, and because we expected that this technology will catch like near to 80%, 90% of CO2 on the coal power stations, but on practice, it's like near to 50, 60, and depends on the system. But yeah,
Right.
so
Right. So if it captures only 8% of the power CO2 emissions, is it even worth to install it?
yeah, I guess.
I mean,
Uh,
8% is better than nothing, but still.
for sure, yeah.
Um, how does each technology affect the energy efficiency of coal plants, and what are the energy trade-offs?
Mm, HLE's main adventure is that it directly improves the plant's efficiency by burning less coal to produce the same amount of energy, uh, which also leads to lower CO2 emissions. Uh, super critical and ultra super critical plants can reach efficiencies for about 42, 45 percent, whereas older plants are around 53, 55, 56, sorry, 33 or 30, 35. But CSS has a downside here. It actually reduces the plant's efficiency.
Mhm.
The figure can vary depending on specific CSS, but in fact, that's because capturing and storing carbon requires additional energy. So the trade-off with a CSS is that while it does cut emission, it also eats into the energy output, meaning that plant may need to burn more fuel to maintain production levels. So
Got it. You think there will be? You think that it's possible that actually coal plants will never be phased out completely, but let's say they will be just implemented. They just implemented one of these technologies, like maybe new technologies will emerge. So like countries like China and India, like they still will use that, but the CO2 will be significantly reduced.
yeah, perfect point. I think it's impossible right now, but we should follow this green trend. So yeah, in like developing countries, it's impossible right now, unfortunately, because it's the main part of.
No, I mean in the future. Do you think that it's possible?
Yeah, but
Not
we
cut it, like my question is it possible to keep the coal plants, not just phase out completely? Because like for example, US and Canada, Europe, they aim to phase out coal plants completely, right? Like, oh, okay, no coal plants by 2050, for example. When like for countries like China and India with so much population, so many people, right, it might be not even possible to phase out coal plants completely. So I guess the question is, do you think it's possible that the technologies of carbon capture will evolve to the point that they can actually leave the coal plants in place, but they will just implement these technologies that will capture carbon dioxide.
Yeah, in the future, in a, I don't know, 50 years, 100 years, yeah, I think we can leave this type of energy, but it's also reasonable to use for the like private usage. I know a lot of countries use it for some private.
Like what, for example?
Yes, for to heat in water, to heat in the houses. So like private usages. Yeah, maybe we can leave it in a technological area, like in the environmental sphere, but for the
On
mining
industrial, we can
industry, for the energy, yes, we
yeah, we
can
can
leave.
phase it out on industrial level, but keep it on the individual level.
Yeah, but we should do that more smoothly. Yeah.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for creating this webinar. And that was all the questions for today. Thank you guys for joining, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekends. Bye-bye.
Bye.